Hey everyone, this is James, and it is March 12th, almost about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is my 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. This is BTC USDT, and this is on the Binance exchange. So if you're wondering where the numbers are coming from, that's where they're coming from. Basically, what I like to start out with is first, this is not investment advice. And second of all, I like to go over where we've come from. We've come from a downtrend, and we've used that downtrend as a springboard to break off of. However, we've returned to that downtrend here, and there's a possibility that we may even reach it a little bit further down. So I'm going to go over all that in just a little bit. Another thing too is as you look at the market, when I split it into two, let me just make sure I erase all my marker lines because they went a little crazy here. But what you can see is to the left-hand side, you can see the volatility in the market. The market's very hot. There's a lot of people exchanging, buy and sell orders and so forth. And then you can see how more muted the market is over here. So the symmetry is something like a crab, basically. And it's a little smoother. It's a little smoother of a transition. It's not as volatile, although it's still crazy. All right, don't get me wrong. Bitcoin is crazy. The cryptocurrency market is wild. It's like the wild, wild west out there. So anyways, let's go over these lines because I know it can be overwhelming for a lot of people. Basically, our down gray line set is the negative frequency that price is reacting to. The red line set is the new negative frequency price is reacting to. And the green line set was the counter trend frequency that was a positive frequency that price we had a little bounce off of. And what I was talking about was basically like a little guppy run. And I think that's kind of what we had here. We kind of have like little mini stages of this guppy run. And those runs are designed in order to entice retail traders, so very small traders, into chasing price up, right? They have the fear of missing out, they chase price, and they get hammered because what happens is the manufactured V bottoms allow people to chase price, and then the big guys just dump their shares into them at a much higher price than the previous low. So what we can do is we'll go over, this is where I had price basically figured out, and this is what I think is kind of unfolding here. Not as vertical as it was in the past, but what you can see here is these are not Elliott waves. I only have these numbers out here because this is the only thing I could do on TradingView to convey my message and depict the volatility and the downward movement in price. So what we have here is we have the downside, we have the little wedge, we break a new high right here, everybody gets hyped up, and then look what happens, boom. And we have something very similar here, we have this uptrend. So if you've been seeing my previous videos, then you're already up to speed on it, so I'm kind of just going to go through it quickly. If you have not, I would just watch one of the previous videos where I elaborate more on that. And then what you can see here is we're kind of doing this. We're kind of doing a similar movement to where we do have this little double bottom, this pop up. We have a pop to a new high right here. Then you can obviously see what happened today. And I said when the downside happened in my prior videos, it was going to be brutal. Okay, and I'm not trying to like boast or anything like that, I'm right or anything, because that's not the objective of these videos. These videos are just to analyze the price action and talk about both sides. So I want to stay as objective as possible. I do not care necessarily if I'm right or not. I just want to give both sides of the trade so everybody can kind of understand what's unfolding and then prices to look at for potential breakouts or breakdowns. And what we have here is we have a breakdown, and I think it's going to be a severe breakdown because what we have is a third return to this line. Okay, this is it's the second return after the first, so to set up the actual frequency line set. Basically what I think is going to happen here is that we are going to continue rolling over. I did not mean to do that. Is that we are going to continue rolling over, and the price movement could, as long as we break, these are some figures that we have to break. We have to bust the 8600 zone on the Binance exchange. If we bust that zone, we are going to head lower. First, we're going to retest the 8350 zone where this bottom was right here that you can see. Let me trace it because if you're on your mobile, you won't be able to. Right here, if we bust that zone, okay, the next logical area is this blue line right here at roughly 7,700. That is a logical position to where a big buyer or multiple big buyers could be, because you can see how radically price changed after these buyers stepped in here. You can see the extreme movement that price made. This was due to the massive buy orders and then the chasing of the guppies that ultimately led to a blow off where the bigger buyers more than likely dumped their position. And then someone could have rallied price again and then dumped that position again. Okay, so that's what this chart looks like, and that's why we did not break to a new high, is because there are obviously more sellers than buyers. Sellers are dominating this market continuously. It is dominated by sellers. Now we have a crazy wild V bottom here. Those are almost nearly impossible to catch. The only way you could have caught it is if you caught it here in this area, or you just took a wild guess and you're just like, you know what, I'm just going to throw my money in at 6,000, and you wrote it up, and kudos to you if you did that. But what we see, what I believe is occurring, is a basically reincarnation of this slide downward. So we had the little guppy run, and my prior video I said, you know what, there's a possibility we may break out, and I started doubting my analysis, and that's fine because I want to stay as objective as possible for everybody, and we failed horribly. You can obviously see the radical price drop. We went from 9,800 all the way down to 8,700. Okay, so 1,100 point drop is what we formed right here, just in this little short time span. These are 4-hour bars, and most of that was covered within like about an 8-hour period. So it's a very severe drop that more than likely caught a lot of people off guard, and that's what the guppy runs are meant to do. They get everyone to chase price, and then bam, if you don't have your stops in, you get murdered. And a lot of people go into these trades naked, and what naked means is that you have no stop. You're just out there flying by the seat of your pants, and you're just hoping that price is going to skyrocket because all the media is telling you you're going to 25,000, you're going to 50, you're going to 100, you're going to 1 million, you're going to be so rich you'll never have to work again in your life. And that's what the media focuses on, because that's what sells, and that's what they do. So anyways, where I think we're going to land if we bust the 8,600 zone is first back to 8,300. From 8,300, we'll break down to about 7,700. If these buyers do not step in this area, and there's not a dramatic change in price in this area that I'm heavily circling right now, we will head much lower. Now, I do not think we're going to bust out the 6,000 low. It's going to take some serious pressure to break the 6,000 low, and there's going to be a lot of volatility in that range. And as we get later into the trading and days progress, obviously I'll have my videos out and be able to analyze it much better. But what I do think is that we are going to have a severe drop. That severe drop is obviously going to cause a lot of panic, and it may burst through these zones, pushing price as low as the low 7s to possibly high 6s. Now, I know that's really hard to believe for people, but if we do have the same exact run, okay, that I've been talking about, you can obviously see the severity of the 4 to 5, zone. And if we create that right here, okay, it might not be as severe, but it will still be severe enough to create massive panic in the market. However, the positive side is as long as we stay above 6,000, we will create a higher low, okay? So obviously what has to happen now, before everyone goes freaking out that, oh my God, I'm calling, for 6,000, that's never going to happen, blah, 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 is that these areas that I just discussed have to be broken. If these areas are not breaking, you can forget about this area down here, okay? This area down there is only relevant if the preceding areas are broken. That's it. If they're not, forget about it. Just erase it and just forget about those numbers, okay? So now what could potentially happen, all right? On the positive side of trading here, you can see the intersection between the negative, the red, and the positive, green. And if we do bounce from this area, okay, we did get a nice little bounce up here, and this is currently where we sit, okay? We've used the negative trend line once again as a springboard. If price continues chugging along out this way, which I doubt it's going to, but if it does, it should head at least to about the 10,000 range. If we get a 10,000 range that gives us higher lows, gives us higher highs, and as long as we bust out with conviction, meaning that we bust out and we trade higher and we do not retrace back into this negative downslope frequency, then price is going to head back upward, and I do think that we will get close to about the 11,700 range. I do not think we will ultimately put in a higher high, because what I see here is lower highs, and we could just have something like this, just some wild volatile swings as price slowly works its way down and big investors are getting out. That's what this looks like to me. This looks like the big money that is still in this market is exchanging hands quickly, and that is why you see the amount of selling pressure that we are currently seeing. Okay, this is not small money making these monstrous dive bombs in price. These are big players dumping massive amounts of Bitcoin, or whatever. But I mean, this is Bitcoin, so that's exactly what they're dumping. But anyways, so that's like the positive and the negative picture of this, and I do believe that we are basically forming this downslide right here, and the only thing that's going to negate that, is first of all the break of that area. But what could negate it prior is if we do break above this high right here. It does not mean just run out and invest. Like I said, this is not investment advice. We could still produce a higher high and roll over just as brutal. So right here, the top is 9,888 cents. What a number. If we break higher than that, then obviously you can see what is forming inside of this positive slope is higher highs and higher lows. Okay, so that would be a positive indication that price is slowly churning upward, and the slope is fairly nice. It's a fairly decent slope. Okay, I'd like to see a little more downside to create a higher low in this area, and then have a more modest slope like this, and to just have price nicely just bounce off and work its way up, like something you would see in the stock market, something you would see in the fiat market, and then even in most of the commodities too. Okay, so some of the commodities have wild swings like natural gas and etc. But I want to see some nice stability for the longevity of the market. But when the market's doing massive wild swings, because the crazy thing is we've gone from 6,000 to almost 12,000 just in a matter of weeks, and now we've already reversed down to as low as 8,300 in just another few weeks. So that was my 30-minute buzzer going off, and that means the 30-minute created the bear wedge like I thought we were, or bear flag like I thought we were creating, and now it's breaking down from there. So, or sorry, my 20-minute chart, and that's a negative indication that price is heading lower. And the great thing about these charts is that I do them live, and you can see this. This is live in action right here. Now check this out. Let's go over this bar by bar. I'm not trying to drag the video out, but I just want to show everybody and emphasize that sellers are in control in this market, and they are heavily dominating this market. First of all, you can see this wild swing that we had here. You see the selling pressure there? That's like a thumbtack. And this pressure means that somebody heavily dumped this bar, and then more than likely created a big buy order, or somebody else came in with a big buy order, pushed price back up, and then immediately reversed and then just dumped in right at the top right here. Okay, it's like clockwork. Manipulation is like clockwork. This is all about human psychology, and as a big player, you have to always think, how can I get the average investor off balance? And how you do that is you create these wild volatile swings, because they know that people are going to get caught up in the hype. People want to get rich quick because they have to trade in order to grow their portfolio so they can have a shot at retirement, a shot at getting rich, and etc. Okay, so that's basically what this volatility entails, is that you have big buyers trying to figure out how they can get you off balance, and that's one thing that you have to figure out as a buyer. And you need to sorry, I had an update, but you need to use stop losses. Okay, so if that's one thing I can tell everybody, this is not investment advice, but if you do invest at anything, I don't care if it's Bitcoin or anything else, you have to use stop losses, because you can get caught and you can get brutally destroyed. Okay, now if you're a long-term investor and you've been holding for a long time, whatever. Just ride it if that's your agenda. So basically, what we see here is the downward selling pressure. So that's what I was getting at right here. And you can see that now we are creating lower highs bar by bar, and you can see this. You can see the reversal, the flip, and the exhaustion. That's exactly what is occurring here. We have used this area as a breakout point. We are now using it as a support. However, price is heavily exhausted. It doesn't matter whether you use candles, doesn't matter whether you use bars, even lines, you can still see the exhaustion of price. And that's what this overall negative downward slope is. This is showing that price is heavily dominated by sellers. Now, the positive slope that we see here as price is working its way back up is showing that buyers are trying to gain control. However, when you look at the bigger picture, you can obviously see that sellers are still dominating the price action. And what's going to solidify that is as we break down further, it's going to be further communicated to everybody that the sellers are in control here. Okay, if we knock out this 8,600 zone tonight into tomorrow, it is going to be a shot that is fired that says we are in control. You know, this is the seller saying we are in control, and there's nothing you're going to do about it, because the dumping is going to occur, and you're going to have to just wait it out and look for an entry for a long position if that's your objective, is to get long. So that's exactly what we see here. That's pretty much the video. I can't believe I'm already 16 minutes into this video. You know, if you enjoy the information, please like, subscribe, follow, share it, comment. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know maybe, you know, if there's something I'm missing. You know, whatever it is. Just comment. I like to hear from people. I try to get back to everyone, but I have been extremely busy lately. I do have subscribers that I help with trades, and that does consume a lot of my time, as well as managing a business too. So it's you know, I stay fairly busy. So if I don't get back to you, I'm not ignoring you. But anyways, that's it for tonight. I'll wrap up my video. I don't want to keep it a very long video. I gave everybody the price objectives to look at. We have the line sets to look at. The next video will be tomorrow morning. I may have to reduce the videos to once a day. I'm gonna see. I'm just trying to work out my schedule and everything, and it's getting pretty chaotic doing this multiple times a day, and especially in this wild and crazy market. So, but anyways, that's it for tonight. I hope everybody has a great day or great evening, or you know, great night, depending on where you are in the world. I do thank you for your time watching this video, and I look forward to hearing from you. And please, if you can support me, do so through the likes, through the sharing, and through the subscribing and following.